Hey guys, do you know what will get you the most energy immediately?
Anybody?
Anybody?
Movement and exercise. Movement and exercise.
That's right.
Right?
Hey, I'm Kelly Ryan.
Ryan Osborne.
And this week we're going to talk about movement and exercise.
Absolutely. So in your case, I think we all can agree, right? Like when you move, it could be just literally outside for 10 minutes, right? It could be a couple of movements at your desk, right? Stretches, a couple of jumping jacks, or a workout. Like to me, it's the best and quickest form of energy that you just feel better about yourself and everything increases, would it not?
You know, I honestly feel like whenever I'm exercising, or especially after I exercise, I feel clearer, my mood is better, I even feel more engaged, more creative, more inspired. You know, it really is just so fantastic, not just for your physical abilities, but for your brain as well and your energy, you know?
Yeah.
And I actually heard something really interesting recently, where someone was saying that it's not only just for now, but if you want to be able to walk through an airport, say when you're 80 and carry your own bags, or if you want to be able to open a jar when you're 90, you know, you need to be exercising now.
Yeah, absolutely. I call it energy equity. Honestly, it means you're putting some effort in. Yeah, you're putting a little bit of energy into something. So again, a simple walk, you know, any sort of activity, sports, what have you, and you get that acute benefit, you know, because our bodies, our cells are kinetic. So when they receive energy, everything kind of increases in terms of just how the body flows. Okay, so you're putting acute energy into the system and you get that benefit from it, but also you get that equity that is built up over time. Okay, you have more sustainable energy when we're talking about just your day-to-day stuff, but of course the role of exercise and all different forms of exercise definitely helps you in terms of think of that later years in retirement, grandkids, and other factors is you're going to want to make sure that you're getting regular movement in.
Oh, 100%, you know, but if you're wondering about now and immediately, there's other benefits to exercise as well, you know, like, so last week we talked about food and hydration, you know, and the week before we talked about stress and mindset, right? And exercise helps with all of that too. Getting up and moving helps all those nutrients and that water and that oxygen get to your brain, get to your organs, you know, all the places that you need it, right? So it really is important.
And I think even from a regularity standpoint, when you are exercising more and more regularly, you are also more regular in terms of from a digestive and bowel movement perspective. So there's absolutely no question. I don't think a lot of people talk about that, to be honest with you, Kelly. The role of improved digestion. So utilizing the nutrients that you're getting from your food can be enhanced and improved by actually moving more.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is important.
Right? Because you've got blood flow going everywhere. So
absolutely.
Everything else is going to go everywhere too, right?
Yeah.
Another thing too is just how important exercise is when it comes to your endorphins, which obviously helps with your mood.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's no question that they, you know, increase. I think like that's for a lot of people, like that initial step, it's like, I'm not feeling it, I'm low energy, or I'm stressed at the moment. But when you really break it down, and we talked about this already in our previous 2 videos, is when you simplify things and you actually are maybe recording and just kind of assessing your own self, literally a 5-minute walk or just a break from your workplace, what we call kind of like a micro break, allows you to just distract yourself. It helps calm yourself down. If you're actually going to move, you know, maybe you're going to go and take the stairs, go to a washroom that maybe is much farther in your office building, go get some more water, okay? Then you get really a trifecta of a better enhancement of energy, better, more mental clarity, and maybe a reduction in, you know, some anxiousness and or stress levels. So exercise, without, again, going down the weeds of how it improves endorphins and hormones, it just is what I think anybody that, is active, and you've heard of either runner's high or just once you break past going through the gym doors or going downstairs, wherever maybe you have a home gym, and you literally just get down on your yoga mat or grab a dumbbell and just do one set, you're simplifying that little habit. But once you're down there, it quickly can enhance in terms of, I'm feeling good already. Like, I'm already doing this, so why don't I even just do a little bit more, right? So I think like that's something that some people always think, man, I got to be exercising every single day for 60 minutes a day, when, okay, there's definitely benefits to doing that. But if you're someone in that, I'll say, really early stage and just needs to start to move their butt a bit more, like, honestly, you don't need to do a whole lot to actually feel better.
No, I mean, even something like for office workers, doing like chair yoga, right?
Absolutely.
Is a great place
to start. Desk push-ups, right? Desk squats. Like, I tell people, and this sounds funny, but like every time that you sit, so either you're about to sit back into your office chair, you go to the washroom, like do 10 squats. That takes you literally maybe 20 seconds at the top end, okay? But again, big leg muscles, they start to get used more regularly. And so if you're someone that truly says, hey, I just don't have X number of minutes or whatever to do something as a standalone exercise bout time, then man, break it up. And honestly, what we call NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is, I know, a mouthful, trust me, that's where actually most people burn their calories. So even for those that might be watching this from a weight loss perspective, and they all think like, hey, my workouts, I'm burning 300 or 400 calories. And yes, you burn some calories even with your digestion. Just by you fidgeting, moving around, doing day-to-day stuff. So nothing that's structured, meaning going for a structured 10-minute walk or going for a workout. Just complete unconscious movement. You will actually get an enhancement of your energy throughout the day because you're basically moving throughout the day, and you're burning a lot of calories. So there's perks to that, not just so-called, a standalone structured exercise bout. So I think like something that is very intrigued to learn about.
So something I found interesting when I first started exercising is I didn't lose weight right away, but I noticed a change in my body composition, right? So my pants started fitting a bit better. People had asked if I lost weight, and I'm like, well, no. Yeah. So I think like one, strength training. I'm a huge promoter of strength training. I think it's the least utilized or incorporated form of exercise in terms of, either like walking, some cardio-based movement, strength training, and it just is not utilized by, I'll say, the general population. And yet, in terms of the benefits that it provides, not just from an actual health perspective in terms of your blood markers, mortality risks, but again, think about it when you're 60, 70, 80, and 90 years old. It's really unfortunate that people don't strength train, and there's definitely reasons for it. I think, the big ones that stand out in terms of some common myths are, either I'm going to get hurt, right? Because you are lifting a weight or some sort of resistance. It could be a band, it could be a machine, it could be free weights, dumbbells, whatever. Or they really don't know what to do. They've never been shown how to do certain exercises. Or the common one that I tend to hear a little bit more from the female standpoint is, well, I just don't want to wake up and be bulky. I just don't, it looks like strength training leads towards bodybuilding style bodies, and I'm not into that. So I'm just going to kind of stay away from that. And I honestly, every week I probably have a couple of messages sent from different platforms from females or whatever about, they're either interested, but they really feel that, these myths are going to happen, and it's basically limiting them from getting into it. But really at the end of the day, guys, something that you really should know, grip strength, okay? Which, listen, we use our hands constantly, but do you know that your grip strength, okay, is one of the leading predictors towards your longevity, so how long you're going to live, and your mortality risk, okay? So super important that when we're just talking about really your organ of longevity, which muscles are an organ, by the way, okay, they should be challenged because it's not about necessarily like looking super strong, but when your body needs strength for at any reason, so maybe it is taking Costco boxes, coming from Costco with all your groceries,
carrying grandkids, whatever it is, something that happens to, fall on top of you, and you need to maybe, force it away from yourself. So you need acute strength, gardening, like I'm talking day-to-day stuff. Okay. Strength just gives you that quality of living that I honestly feel not a lot of people talk about, because it really associates with just maybe the visible aspect, all right, the aesthetic aspect of what strength training does. So for me, and yes, I know, we're talking about energy as a whole, but I do think that for a lot of individuals, when they feel strong, and I could almost, ask you as you're watching this, who doesn't like to feel strong, right?
Right.
Like, it's not about, well, I'm significantly ripped or cut or whatever like that. But when you feel strong, basically the exact, coordinated, I guess, feeling to that is that you feel more confident. And that's what I find with strength training a bit more. And I'm only going anecdotal here, but I find that clients that started and they felt, I'll say, not strong in their own minds, okay, and they over time improve their strength, it was almost coincide with their degree of confidence, right? And so that is something, again, strength training as a whole, and I'll just say exercise as a whole, when you have the ability to just do tasks without thinking, there's no restriction. It's not like, okay, me and my partner or my family, we'd like to do a hike on the East Coast Trail, but I can't because my knees, or I'm afraid I might slip, right? Like, that should never cross anybody's mind unless they're maybe well into their late 80s, 90s or something like that. Like, and so I just look at strength training as a means purely to, you want to improve your quality of living, you want to live without any restriction, and just feel really great about yourself. And obviously, if those benefits can also come with maybe helping reducing body fat, improving your body composition, and you just feel like, hey, I'm confident to maybe go to the beach, do it, whatever like that, then so be it. But I think let's not also just lose the fundamental benefits of what strength training can provide.
Definitely. And for the ladies out there, it's very, very hard for girls to, all of a sudden look like big muscle men.
Yeah.
Right. We're not built that way. We're not composed that way.
It really isn't. No. And that's a point there is that, men and women still have the ability to, improve their strength and their muscle cells, and muscle size. But when we look at, obviously, yes, social media influencers and things like that, and when you look at maybe even some women that are like very lean, very, maybe, defined, toned, whatever way you want to call it, I can guarantee you, and it's not just females, by the way, is that their experience, they've had probably decades, no joke, where they've had to, train, super, super hard to get it done. So the reality is unlike, maybe I know we all are very impatient when we come to, hey, I want to feel better or I want to lose weight. Going back to the main theme of these points is that, well, a simple walk outside is probably hands down the quickest form of getting an immediate enhancement to mood and energy. But when we're talking about, yes, maybe changing your body, one, which is very hard to understand and accept, but the patience thing is definitely something that you've got to look at, because you can't just, build muscle literally overnight, okay? It does take time, but I think, like, if I want to just supply, for the purpose of this video, like the very basics of, strength training. And so, like, besides, yes, confidence, improvement, you even can get better hormonal regulation. Think about insulin. So for a lot of individuals that may eat a poor diet, like we talked about in the previous video, okay, a lot of individuals that may be overweight or obese, okay, tend to have what we call a metabolic syndrome. So they're at a much higher risk towards developing prediabetes or diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and the like, okay? Autoimmune disorder, absolutely. Yeah. Now, another key thing that, again, I'm not going to go in the weeds here, is what's called insulin resistance. And studies show that, I'll say that a bigger majority of individuals who are either overweight or obese have some degree of insulin resistance. And that's all a fancy way of just saying your body, because you're ingesting a lot of sugar, whether it's just carbohydrates from added sugar forms, what have you, is constantly in the blood, because once sugar gets into the bloodstream, well, your pancreas releases insulin to help remove that sugar from the blood. I remember hearing this little comment from a nutritionist probably about 20 years ago, and it was talking about how if your sugar is in the blood too long, it's like almost rust on a car. Your blood vessels will literally break down in terms of the integrity and quality of the blood vessel lining when it has basically a constant influx of sugar. Yes. So luckily, we have insulin. And I'm not talking about type 1 diabetics, but those that have type 2 or prediabetes, where it's a lifestyle thing, where they have so much basically constant flow of sugar going in the blood, eventually the cells look at insulin and just say, don't really care, you're normal, you're not going to work. And then insulin is not actually working the way it's intended. So that's called insulin resistance. Well, here's a little so-called physiological tip, is that where's the first place that insulin wants to put the sugar, okay, or glucose, which is once it's in your bloodstream, it's glucose. The first place that your insulin wants to actually put that so-called stored sugar into, okay, is into the muscle cell. That's the very first place that it goes. So here's the benefit of when you challenge your muscles, and it could also be a really intensive hike where you're going up and down so your leg muscles are actually working. Doesn't necessarily just need to be strength training, okay? But even body weighted exercises, a lot of yoga definitely challenges muscles. I can agree to that, okay? But if you're challenging your muscles and your muscles are actually using the stored glucose, which is glycogen, okay? And now basically it's released into the bloodstream as a form of, that's how your muscles contract. Well, now you ingest something that, say, has sugar in it, or, then insulin wants to pump that sugar into your blood, into your muscle cells. So there's a significant benefit when we're talking about those that just want healthy insulin and blood sugar management, boom. But if you are someone that may have prediabetes or diabetes, okay, then besides, yes, controlling your diet in terms of sugar content, strength training specifically, more so than any other form of exercise, is a significant enhancement to that.
That's amazing.
Right? So I think like the thing to look at it from, well, okay, Ryan, tell me what I need to do, right? Like, okay, do you mean I need to join a gym? I need to do maybe a crash course on strength training. Like I'm a bit fearing, I'm very beginnerish. What do I need to do, or how much should I really do a week? We've already said it in the 2 previous, videos, is that absolutely, it's very much individual, okay? You should be active, pretty much, 30 minutes a day of moderate to strenuous activity. I mean, that's just the gold standard towards of health recommendations for, individuals, right? So I think number one, it's not just about strength training. I want to stress that, right? This is about you maybe assessing how much movement are you doing throughout a week, because if you're sucking energy, okay, besides what we already talked about last video with the food, if you just move your butt more, as basic as that sounds, no joke, okay? If you increase maybe your step count by just even a few thousand, which honestly is a bit of 10, 15 minute walk. It's not that long, okay? You'll see an enhancement to your energy. But from a strength training perspective, okay, honestly, you start with just a couple of days a week, right? 20 minutes is fine. For beginners, you get the benefits of being a beginner and what we call beginner gains, but you actually don't need to do a whole lot. You don't even need to use resistance. Okay, you could do literally push-ups on a countertop, simple body weight squats, okay, really basic stuff a couple of days a week, and your muscles will not only get stronger, but they will grow. So there's benefits to that. So a couple of days a week, 20 to 30 minutes for very much beginners, just doing some simple full body exercises. Whereas if you're someone that does have a bit of experience on and off even with, say, maybe strength training, that's where if you want to continue to see benefits with your strength, then you want 3 to 4, maybe even 5 days for those that have the time for it, but certainly 3 or ideally 4 days a week, 30 to 60 minutes, okay? And again, it still goes about the same. You're doing, 3 sets, right, of a handful of exercises. And the key, the ultimate number one principle of strength training, okay, is progressive overload. Fancy way of just saying, as long as you're either lifting more weight or you're doing more reps with the same amount of weight over time, okay, then that means you're immediately objectively getting stronger, because you're either doing more with the same weight, or hey, now I can actually lift 20-pound dumbbells and I only started out at 8-pound dumbbells, or I could do 20 push-ups straight in a row and I only started by doing 4 push-ups in a row. So strength training, again, it's, to me, there's so many more even other tangible benefits. But for this purpose here, it just allows you to, again, improve that quality of living, and just, again, have that, I guess, unconscious ability to not have a life of restriction.
Yeah.
Right. And when I see people that are moving regularly, and again, definitely include other forms of exercise as well. Yoga, maybe swimming, biking, sports, outside, it doesn't matter. It's all a part of it. You will see significant, again, acute and long-term benefits.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and I mean, I love strength training personally. I also love walking, yoga, swimming. And, you know, I heard one thing, in that strength training and different exercises and stuff is great for your bones, but what are some other benefits of strength training that maybe we haven't discussed?
I mean, we pretty well covered, I think, the key ones there. I really do. Because again, this is not just about, the strength training approach, but I find the thing with strength is when you look at it from a lot of people's viewpoint on weight loss, is they set a goal, January for most and whatnot, and it never seems to work.
Don't do
but
that.
Yeah, exactly. A whole different talk.
Yeah.
But they will set like a really concrete goal. So I have, whatever it is, 20 pounds to lose because I just want to see 150 on the weight scale. And so even if there are those that even hit their goal target, it immediately can just shut you off from now your drive towards something else, right? Because it's like, I hit my 150. For a lot of people, the losing weight may not be the most challenging part.
Yeah.
A lot of it is obviously maintaining that weight, off overall. And this cycles right back to energy management, by the way, because if you are managing your energy with sleep, stress management, water, hydration, exercise, okay, then it's going to be much easier to manage your health, weight and things like that. So again, that's how I, when I approached Kelly with these talks, was that's just my focus with a lot of this for a lot of my one-to-one clients that I work with, is that even though, weight and their health metrics are important to them and they want to reach a certain, range, to me, it is about energy management. But what I find from a strength perspective is there is no summit.
No.
Excuse me. There's no summit.
No.
You don't be like, oh, all of a sudden, I'm at my absolute peak strength and I'm already here. So now I'm just going to coast into the end. And so for a lot of people, motivation tends to be obviously a really big bottleneck, right? And so they might get motivated, their mindset is strong, and they start off with a bang, either sometimes way too extreme and they can't sustain it, but they just go. And then what happens? Maybe the results start to slow down. The scale doesn't move. Screw this. I don't want to do this anymore, right? It's so, unfortunate that people kind of have that operating system with strength. I almost kind of have a challenge within the challenge because yes, there's no crappy workout. We know that, right? No matter what, just show up and you'll get the benefits from it. But with strength is that who doesn't like, whether it's lifting a certain weight that you always wanted to do, maybe it's a pull-up that for a lot of people, they've never be able, maybe they want to climb a mountain and they don't have that leg strength to do it. Doesn't matter. I just find strength is something that can always create that little extra degree of motivation as you're doing your workouts, because you can always get better. You can either get better with your technique. You can obviously, your lifting numbers can be better. Maybe, overall as a fitness, you're trying to complete a circuit in a faster time than you did, 2 weeks ago. So you're showing your kids, in my mind, the value of, staying strong, because I just think both the physical side of things, but as we already alluded to, the mental resilience that can come from improving your own strength and putting in some hard work is significant, and especially in today's world that we live in with just the mental struggles that there is. So I think really just looking at it sometimes from just not okay, I got to do that exercise again for 3 rounds of 10. How can I get better at it? Yeah. And, how can I progress to the point where then I get to absolutely live a life full of experiences with no restriction. And that to me is a priceless thing that I personally value.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's true too, because, motivation can wane, but the beautiful thing is with strength training per se, or even walking, any exercise, it is something where you can see. It's hard to see differences when it comes to food, and water and whatever, but it's very quick and easy to see differences when it comes to, you can see those numbers, they're tangible.
No, it absolutely is. And so I think, this is probably another common question, right? Is okay, Ryan's talking about this and all that stuff, but okay, what about I'm super busy, right? Like how do I get, so like coming away from strength training, I'm just like, we're just talking about
exercise.
overall exercise and movement, okay? You know, absolutely. It's a common thing I hear literally on the daily, basically, right? Or just, you know, chatting with individuals, and, you know, energy, time, meaning limited, and motivation. That's the top three, I'll say barriers / excuses, because let's agree, many of the cases it is excuses for people finding it really challenging to, I'll say, maintain an active, healthy lifestyle. So, you know, a common question, you know, and for you, let's just flip it, is, I mean, you're flat out, kids, run a business by yourself, as do I. So I guess how do you make time for it? Like, what's your operating system?
So one interesting, I think, thing that I find especially is my husband, his schedule changes from term to term because he's a college teacher, right?
Yep.
So each term, basically for me, I'm starting over. Like, okay, where am I fitting in exercise? You know.
Yep.
But I literally put it into my schedule. Like, if you look at my calendar, I have a block there for exercise. I fit it into my calendar like it's a meeting because I know the benefits at the end of the day. It's going to help me with the rest of my day, right? So how about you?
Yeah, same sort of thing. Like, same sort of thing. I have a little bit of flexibility in terms of, you know, during the morning, I drop my kids off, and to me, I'm not a 5 a.m. workout person. Just not my thing. I'll do the occasional walk or whatever like that, but and when I had my dog, I was a bit more regular with that. But I guess in terms of me, because again of my flexibility in my morning schedule, I just feel more, I guess, focused to get in a good workout. And I've tried doing that like super early morning, and I'm just not alert enough to really get in a solid workout. So a simple walk, I can do that, no question. But it's like a routine. It's almost like, you know, brushing your teeth before going out the door. For me, I drop kids off and I go to the gym. It's just a flow that I can do that. And if I can't get it in, again, I'm still easily doing what I call micro workouts. Like, you know, you've heard the term micro breaks, you know, during your workday, you're just taking a couple of minutes, which has been really shown to benefit reducing stress, increasing energy, right? Even from an injury prevention risk perspective, okay? But I just think micro workouts is another little term, and I talked about it at the beginning of this video, saying, you know, some desk push-ups, 10 squats before you sit every time. Put a little timer on your phone. Just say, hey, you know, Alexa, or you know, I won't say Siri because they'll probably set my phone off. So, and then set a timer for 2 minutes, literally, and see what you can get done. Maybe it's, you know, a couple of jumping jacks. Maybe it's, you know, going up a flight of stairs if you're in your home office. Maybe it's going up the stairs, maybe 5 sets, going back down. Like, at the end of the day, that's just something where you can always fall back on, okay? Because again, when you feel an enhancement to both energy and mood, you are more apt to probably want to do something thereafter, okay? Whereas when you're absolutely sucking energy, you're stressed, okay? That's the last thing that's on your mind to do, right?
100%.
So that's where I think sometimes is just simplify, and it's gotta, you put a reminder even on your computer for like every 15 or every like 30 minutes or something like that. So then when that alarm goes off, it just, you know, reinforces, okay, I'm going to take time to do something, right? So I think it's the end of the day, we all can, and I really mean that, we all can find time for even 15 to 20 minutes. Like, I don't know of anybody that doesn't have that time. If you don't, you want to basically do a time audit and see where are you probably fooling around on your phone or, you know, wasting some time. And listen, I've got a treadmill downstairs literally behind my desk. So if I'm doing client emails or client messages, I'm going to hop on that, put it on an incline, and I'm just going to bang it. Next thing you know, I like 20 minutes flies like that, but I actually just did a 20-minute walk, right, for it. So, and I know not everyone has the ability to do that. There is under the desk treadmills that are a little bit more, or becoming a little bit more popular and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you have to multitask just for the purpose of, hey, maybe I do have to have a client meeting, so maybe do a walk meeting with them, or take your, you know, headphones, whatever it is, and then go for a walk while doing the meeting or checking some emails. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, it's great, yes, to turn technology and the life off for a small bit because there's benefits mentally to that. But I honestly just say, listen, if in truly fact you have such a small window in a run of a day, well then honestly just double up on some sort of maybe work activity that allows you to, like, such as checking emails or something or a call, and then be active while doing that, and you're still going to get some benefits from it.
Yeah, I a lot of times will tell clients, you're going for a coffee anyways, why not turn it into a walk and coffee? Or if you're having a meeting even in your office space where maybe you don't need to take notes, you're just having a check-in or a chat or something, you can turn that into a walking meeting, and then that gets you that. The other thing too, I know I was talking to a friend earlier today actually, right? And she sort of said, oh, I'm tired, I know I gotta go for a walk, right? I said, well, why don't you just do 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh yeah, okay, I can do that. And then next thing later, she turns around and she's been walking for 20 minutes.
So that's the concept from BJ Fogg, who's a Stanford professor. He came out with coined the term, and he also came out with a book, which I have. It's called Tiny Habits. And he talked about that. And he did studies in his lab where they looked at common habits. Yeah. And when you basically simplify it to the point of, some cases, it could be upwards of 1 to 2 minutes. They call it the 2-minute rule. But anything where you're going to tell yourself, all I am doing is literally walking to the mailbox. So for me, if I had to walk to the mailbox and back, it'd be about literally maybe 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. It's 2 minutes down, 2 minutes back. Okay. If you think of that, I'd say literally 9 times out of 10, you'll walk past that mailbox, or in case where you've set, I'm going to go downstairs and I've got my yoga mat already laid out. I'm going to go down and I'm going to do 5 push-ups, and that's all I'm going to do. You're not thinking about a whole entire workout routine or, like you just said, a long walk. Just set a time as simple as 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. More times than not, once you get outside, I'm already here doing it. Whoop-de-doo, right? It's always that initial, basically the inertia friction that comes from doing the thing that you probably don't want to do, but immediately your brain can kind of get. And that's why we started the talk with saying literally how when you're looking for the quickest form of energy and even a mood booster, there's nothing that can compare to just basic movement. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's pretty good there. Yeah. And so our little task that we like to maybe challenge, I guess, at the end of these talks is, for this specific movement one, is I'd like for you to look at it from like a power 20. I call it power 20. It doesn't really matter. But the first 20 minutes upon wakening for you, if you can. Again, if you can't get it done upon wakening or in the morning, well then just look at, I got to get a 20-minute block in somewhere. So either it's during my lunch break, right after work, maybe before, supper and kids chaos, or bar minimum, kids are down and now it's 9:30, 9 o'clock. Can you get something in then? But always, in my mind, morning's better because it's what shapes your day, right? So even though, those that can only get, active in the evening, we all know, if you say, I'm going to get to it later, honestly, once your energy and mood goes down and you're exhausted from the day, it's not happening, right? So I just think, why not do a little 20-minute challenge? And for literally the next 3 days, okay? Just do something relatively either right upon awakening or at some point maybe before your work day gets going, and if not, maybe during your lunch break. So those are your 2 time slots, and it's got to be a 20-minute movement activity. So it could be a simple walk outside, or it could be simple body weighted workout, grabbing some dumbbells. It doesn't matter. Set your phone, hit 20 minutes, and then just kind of go with that, and just assess your mood and your energy levels over those 3 days by getting a 20-minute bout of exercise done. And just see, because at the end of the day, all we're trying to do with these talks is just get the ball rolling. Like, what can you either add? Maybe your sleep is okay, or maybe your stress management is okay, but your eating habits or your exercise habits are not where they need to be. So hopefully any of these talks, are just a little kick in the butt way of assessing and then also kind of acting on in order for you to feel great. Yeah, and I kind of want to leave you a little bit with, you didn't get where you were overnight. Yep. You're not going to get where you're going overnight, but these little micro shifts, pick whatever's easiest and just run with it. And absolutely. You'll see differences pretty quickly. Great. So our next talk is on sleep. So keep an eye out for that. All right. And as always, would love any bit of feedback. right? If you're finding these videos to be of value, anything like that, we encourage and would appreciate any sort of feedback whatsoever, or a comment share would always be of value as well.
Or like and subscribe.
Or like and subscribe. Hey, absolutely. Until next time, this has been fun.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.